back to the fourth Elets Pharma Leadership Summit. Post some very enlightening sessions with prominent industry leaders, we now move ahead to our next panel discussion on intelligent automation making pharma future ready. Joining us for this discussion, we have Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, General Manager Supply Chain, Reliance Retail Pharma, who will be the moderator of this session. Welcome, Mr. Bhatia. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Bhatia, if you could switch on your camera. Yeah, thank you so much. We have Mr. J. Jaiseelan.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Mr. J. Jaiseelan, Vice President, Industrial Pharmacy Division, Indian Pharmaceutical Association. Welcome, sir. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Srinivasa Reddy, Vice President and Global Head of IT, Granules India Limited. Welcome, Mr. Reddy. Thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Ashok Gupta, Technical Director, Blue Cross Laboratories Limited. Thank you, Mr. Gupta. Thank you for joining us. And Mr. Yogesh Lavania, Associate Vice President, Supply Chain, Biocon Limited. Thank you, Mr. Lavania. Thank you so much for being here with us. Moving on, as it said, that researchers are developing artificial intelligence tools that will allow them to run simulated processes that can more precisely define inclusion criteria. This session will explore the technological advances, the impact they're already having on the clinical trial space, pharma processes, and what it means for the future. Over to you, Mr. Bhatia, to steer the discussions forward.
Sure. Thank you, Garima. Thanks a lot to Elets eHealth for having us, all of us here for this panel discussion. I welcome all my co-panelists and all the audience, all the members of the pharma, of the supply chain, of the industry and our fraternity. Welcome everyone. We hope to make this a very crisp and a very knowledgeable and insightful, interesting session. And hence, I would request all my panelists to be on the point crisply and with relevant examples so that our industry members can also learn and correlate with real-time examples. So let me quickly set the context. So I think the age or the era that we are in is more about the information and the entire supply chain. We keep talking that we need to be more proactive. We need to be more data-driven in our decision making. So it's kind of data-driven supply chain rather than a gut feel or a kind of a top-down driven supply chain. It should be more data-backed. And hence, we are discussing today, the topic at hand is how do we make more intelligent supply chain? How do we make our supply chain more intelligent and more automated? That's the point that we want to discuss upon. And I think very, very relevant in the age or in the time that we are in. So let me start with Mr. Chitti from Aurobindo Pharma, being the CIO. Would like to hear from you what are your thoughts in terms of data-driven supply chain, intelligent supply chain, and how do you or what are the actions and steps or guidance that you have for your organization, and hence we can also kind of learn through this intelligent automation. So over to you. Okay, I see Mr. Chitti is not there. So let me pass on this question to Mr. Ashok. So Mr. Ashok, if you would like to take this question and share your thoughts in terms of what have your organization done or what has been the propositions from your side as a technical director from Blue Cross to organization, and we can also pick up those learnings for other pharma organizations. So over to you. Please go ahead, Ashok.
Yeah, Mr. Gaurav, thank you. I would just like to first enlighten the panel. What is the meaning of future ready? We are talking about the future readiness of pharma industry. And pharma industry basically looks for new products pipeline, speed and accuracy. It should be flexible, cost effective, data integrity and transparency, automated but still foster creativity and innovations. Build and nurture smart experimentation, have a strong technology foundation, and immaculate the foresightedness, what we think of in future. If the pharma industry, we are as a pharma industry, we are focusing on all these things. The most interesting part is intelligent automation. Automation, we should, or what we said, automation and digitalization, they are more or less similar things. We should not do anything for the sake of doing that. Therefore, intelligent automation or intelligent implementation of automation is very, very important. If we don't do this intelligently, then we may land up in different issues. We invest a lot in the technology and automation, but if our team or our infrastructure is not ready to take up all these challenges what we have while we are going for the intelligent automation, then the end results may not be achieved. So the basic objective what we should have for the automation is selection of automation, selection of processes, selection of people. If we have all these things in place, and if we analyze our strengths and weaknesses and opportunities in each and every field, right from operations to right from R&D to operations to supply chain, then definitely I will say we can achieve the automation benefits to the most extent possible.
Fair point, Ashok. I think very well said. If I can have Mr. Srinivas now, and your thoughts on the similar lines in terms of intelligent automations, where is, and if I can just add, the way we are kind of bombarded, if I can use that word, with the amount of data from all the areas, from the business side, from the sales, from the demand sensing tools, from the supply chain side. I think there's a lot of data from customer service all across. We have a lot of data today. So data is not a challenge today. How do you make out meaningful inferences? How do you bring out more right or take right decisions with so much of data available? So your thoughts, please.
Yeah. Thanks, Gaurav. So first of all, let me explain. So what we are perceiving automation. So technically speaking, automation in an organization, we need to concentrate more in terms of improving the efficiency or improving the productivity. Then human based reduction of human based errors or increased data trustworthiness, because the data is being and automatically created by the system, so hence the data can be categorized as a more trustworthy and integrity, and also reducing the human based accidents or incidents in the organization. So these are the primary goals where we can foresee the implementation of the technology around automation. And now coming to the implementation of this automation, so my sincere, the suggestion to the industry is or organization is, instead of thinking about implementing the total organization or total automation, like all the departments, all the processes should be automated from tomorrow onwards. So instead of going in that single go manner, so I strongly recommend we should go in a agile method. So maybe we start with low hanging fruits, and depending on the success rate, probably we can motivate ourselves and our financiers to get the more budgets and move on. So that's how the journey should go on. Now, coming to the intelligence. So, first of all, automation or the intelligence, so not necessary that it is needed in all the places. Say, for example, of course, now the media and market and every industry is buzzing around the automation and the intelligence and all. So, but according to my view, this intelligence is not needed in all the places. Like, for example, since I am coming from drug manufacturing industry, so if you see the core manufacturing area, which is a typically the approved protocol or approved recipe driven. That means if the one molecule is designed in one particular method, so you have no option to change the recipe or parameters or the line of transaction. So this is a stereotype production manufacturing. So in those areas there is no meaning of implementing intelligence. Of course, automation is there just to increase the efficiency and productivity and all, but when it comes to the intelligence, I don't think it value adds in that. But there are areas where there is a significant advantage of intelligence automation is perhaps research and development in one area where we will be doing a lot of experimenting with no goal or no for what you say whatever the final outcome, right? And there are areas like marketing or supply chain management or some blockchain areas. So these are the areas where perhaps we can implement intelligence, and intelligence can give highest level of advantage to in these areas.
Perfect. I think makes a lot of relevance and makes a lot of sense. Now,
Gaurav, I
going
just want to
to
add to Mr. Reddy what he has given. I just want to add to that. See, the automation in pharma industry, basically we look for the improvements, like improvement in return of in R&D investment. If you see the historical data, the return on R&D investment have been reduced drastically. Like nowadays, we can say it is between 1.5 to 3.5%. Improvement in productivity and reliability in our operations. Improvement of product safety and efficacy. And we can reduce the timelines and predictability, increase predictability in clinical trial costs. Post-marketing regulatory monitoring like pharmacovigilance and other things where we need all the automation and
Right.
definitely enhance traceability of our product and efficiency in supply chain. So these are the major areas where we need to have intelligent automation to enhance our efficiency as well as the reliability of our products and all our actions. If you see nowadays the data integrity and transparency in all, like if you see the right from testing to clinical trials, everywhere we get a lot of data. And the most important parameter what people are looking or what regulators mainly look in that is the integrity and transparency in that. And those things needs to be automated, then only we can have all the audit trail and other things. So regulators are also satisfied that whatever we are presenting and our approval become very fast.
Right.
right, very relevant points and very fairly added. So now, before I go to Mr. Yogesh, very quickly, Mr. Jayasilan, what are your thoughts as you come from the Indian Pharma Association? What are your thoughts, and what do you think intelligent automation, according to you, from, and what are your expectations from the pharma manufacturers as well as I say, and the overall supply chain leaders in terms of having intelligent automation? So your thoughts very quickly before I go to Mr. Yogesh.
Thank you, Mr. Gaurav. Good afternoon to my fellow panelists. Fine. See, I am representing Indian Pharmaceutical Association, and I'm basically an entrepreneur having API formulation facility and exporting to US. And basically, I am a pharmacist. So that is the reason I'm representing IPA here. Coming back to our topic of, say, pharma future ready or intelligence automation, the two speakers who spoken before me has highlighted a lot of things. So some repetition might be there because the topic is same. But however, as an entrepreneur, how I see, the first and foremost is I feel all this automation or intelligence automation, whatever we are talking in current scenario, it is helping for a fast and effective decision making at top level. Why I'm talking on that is right. Say if you are recalling the industrial revolution, we are talking about 4.0 current revolution, right? So it started with the first manual manufacturing was there. First first revolution was mechanical, where some kind of mechanical machines came. Then second thing era was with electrical and mass production. We concentrated, even pharmaceutical followed the same thing and concentrated on mass production. Then lot of speaking or talking was there on quality assurance. Then the third revolution came where you had computers and other electronic devices which helps us to have better quality and quality QMS system. So pharma evolution, with even though we have manual formulation protocol, everything we are doing manual, now all these systems are helping. Today we are talking about the automation or intelligence automation or era of 4.0, where internet of things or artificial intelligence, all these things, I feel, according to me, it is going to help. If you use it judicially, definitely it is going to help in the entire pharma chain. Let us take even the vaccine approval, which we got within 2 years during this pandemic. Unless the latest technology is available, it is very difficult to do clinical trials so fast. And like Mr. Gaurav said, we had a lot of data, but how to analyze? So data analytics played a role. AI played a role. Everything, whatever the latest automating techniques or tools available, helped us to sustain, overcome this pandemic, and it helped us to learn also. As someone said in the morning session, so many intelligent panelists are able to spend only half an hour or 1 hour from our place, and we are able to communicate to so many people. This all automations is helping. So if you come into pharmaceutical R&D, someone talked, yes, there is a huge cost. Precise R&D is possible. Lot of data will come, whether it is formulation R&D or new drug. Lot of data are created, but artificial intelligence and other modernized technology is going to help for analysis this R&D data, so that we will be able to bring the product faster. That is one thing which happens in R&D. Next stage is clinical trial. We all know this entire process. We can talk this automations is going to help us a lot in clinical trial, where we will have, if it is a new drug, multiple things, right? No, right from the adverse toxicology study, lot of data can be synchronized, and the real time data is available to just monitor and cross check across, which will help. Then comes product is now ready for manufacturing. Yeah, Mr. Srinivas Reddy said, yeah, intelligence is not part, but automation might be useful in manufacturing. See, I'm thinking little more there also in the manufacturing setup. Though formula everything is ready, today the cost of labor is going up. Since there is a part of manual touch is there, if everything is automated and the badge is validated, we can think about that golden badge, which means the repeatability. What is more challenging in our current system, and even in every badge, repeatability is a system. I feel these automational tools will help us in repeating the badge with the same quality. And automation, yeah, here also told that's very important. I'm repeating it here. Yeah, automation. See, today power is costly. If I'm running a manufacturing industry, if I have robotics inside, it need not have ambience lights or other comfort AC or a lot of things. I can run the company 24/7. So because of this modern automation tool, how manufacturing industry will be useful is On the backward, supply chain will be fully automated. I have real data and I can supply products what is needed to the market. Expiry can be cut down. On the front end, raw material and other purchase can be systematically purchased. Everything as humanly impossible or multiple people brain should work together, these tools can do. So because of this intelligence automation, we'll be able to do complete production and supply chain very effectively. That is where I'm coming in. So manufacturing followed by supply chain and also retail everywhere. This whatever automations available, lot of techniques you can talk, blockchains for the data storage, robotics, or whatever we are talking. It is going to help the pharma industry. The problem here is, according to me, pharma is little conservative in adopting any new technology. That's our. But this pandemic has pushed us to adopt this technology faster than what we normally do. Otherwise, we would have taken 10 years to adopt a lot of technology which we have already started practicing. Even in marketing, where pharma is started talking with the doctors through automated video conferencing and other things. So everywhere now these modern tools and technology has put us into we have come in and we have started using it. So that is what I want to tell in my initial thing. Automated intelligence automation is definitely making the pharma future ready. The challenges is we normally pharma doesn't give a lot of importance to this IT infrastructure. We are thinking as an entrepreneur, normally it is a capital oriented and it is not needed. We are already doing successfully all those things. But I feel this is very important. This is going to help us, as I said in the beginning, for fast and effective decision making for the top managers and top promoters. This all tools are going to help. So we need to overcome this challenge, our mind barrier, start treating this uh, IoT or whatever intelligence of automation as an important part of pharma, so that our industry is becoming future ready. Thank you.
I just want to add, a few line items to Jayasilan. Is it okay?
Sure. Please.
Yeah. So since we are talking about intelligent intelligence, I just got one example in my mind. So which we have successfully implemented in my earlier company. So no, let me give that example. So we call it as a ASRS, Automated Storage and Retrieval System, in our warehouse. So typically our warehouse was is almost uh, more than 100 meters height. So for a human being, storing the material in such a height, and the two accident free zone, and that is one area. And the second is how optimized way of implementation of area occupancy. So in these areas, obviously the human oriented systems cannot achieve these areas. So we have implemented the robotic based ASRS, with some German make manufacturer. So how it works is, it has two bays, like receiving bay and storing bay. So you just put your material in the storing. So it automatically, the robotic arm comes and it takes the weighing, it weigh that material, and according to its weight, it automatically detects where to put. Mean right place, or there are various logics in that, like shortest path method, critical path method, and the load balancing methods. So accordingly, it will decide by itself where to put that material, and it automatically goes inside in the narrow lanes, because the robot can go in the narrow lanes where human at least need 4 feet place to walk. So it automatically goes inside, it stores, and it updates our SAP system, where the bin location and other stuff. And similarly, when we need it, we just mention what is the batch number, and how much quantity you need, and system automatically identifies where that batch is available in the entire warehouse, and the robot goes inside and brings that, it gives. So in this, we were able to save a lot of time for searching the material, identifying the material, drawing the material, and keeping the material back. So we were used to save a lot of time in that, as well as humanless, hence accident free zone and other stuff. So this is one fantastic example what I can give from an intelligent automation area.
Sure. I think very relevant example, I think, to connect with what we just discussed. And also, I think what I take back from what Mr. Jaiselan mentioned, I think to summarize, it's like having an end-to-end visibility in the system, right from your back-end, the manufacturing side, to your supply side, to your distribution, logistics side, and to your front-end customer, which is the retailer side. So I think makes a lot of sense, as I think the new in last 2 years and during this Black Swan event, the pandemic, we all heard of a few terminologies, or I can say few keywords defining the supply chain actually, because supply chain suddenly came in the forefront and at the kind of helms of it. Hence, I think agility, resilience, and visibility. I think if I can call this ARV, became a lot more critical and important. Customer wants every delivery at the highest speed, and there your supply chain has to be built with high resilience so that it doesn't break with any such unexpected event. And finally, the visibility in end-to-end supply chain. So now moving on to Mr. Yogesh, and I think from the organization where you come, it's more into the biosimilars, the biologics, or the cold chain kind of products as well, where the expertise is. So I think without repeating what others said, probably what special automations or intelligence are you doing from your organization's perspective, especially if any insights on the cold chain and biosimilar side from your side, Mr. Yogesh?
Hi, very good afternoon, all, and Gaurav, pleasure to connect back with you. Hope I'm
Same here,
audible.
same here. Yes, yes,
Great.
absolutely clearly
But
audible.
Gaurav,
Please go
in
ahead.
order, first, I would just like to cover the first piece of it because when the fellow speakers have spoken about automations and all that, I'll just give you my perspective and a quick example of what can be there to move on to the cold chain where we have the kind of a real-time temperature recording and how the industry need to move ahead on that automation and compliance in that area. So having said that, as you might be knowing or otherwise, I am propagating a theory of 5 I's, which is the future of the supply chain and future of the automation, which talks about the supply chain to be again interconnected, which is about being innovative, which is being about instrumented, and the last two pieces is about the intelligent and informative. Because any instrumentation done around supply chain, until unless it is becoming intelligent, and last but not least, if it is not informative, then it won't be of any benefit to the users. Since panelists have already spoken a lot about that, I will not get into the detail. So having said that, this is the future in my understanding that we should have the entire ecosystem. Now, earlier this was only being talked about supply chain, but now I'm talking about as an industry that automation should be interconnected, should be intelligent, should be instrumented, should be innovative, all that aspects. Now, moving on, because Mr. Srinivas and Jashiran mentioned about certain intelligent system, and then probably Srinivas referred about the uh, typical manufacturing processes and where not much of the automation can be done. I have just one thought which we have been working on it, and I have been also, though this is not a direct supply chain, so it's beyond my regular role, but on the automations we are working on it. So in a typical API manufacturing, normally, so we can call it predictive quality. What we are working on it is in terms of that all that information that is of the input material, so all the analytical parameters of all the input materials, and batch on batch, the maximum instrumentation that can be done around an manufacturing equipment reactors. So in terms of the RPM, in terms of temperature, in terms of pH, in terms of pressures, in terms of the time, volume, all that is, if it is instrumented, then from batch to batch, whatever is going in and whatever have been the process parameter during the manufacturing process, they are being compiled, and the intelligence in the data analytics based on the in-process quality results is over a period of such multiple batches which have gone in. And what Mr. Jaishilan was mentioning about the golden batch and all that, probably that kind of a setup can be done through this intelligent automation. So over a period of multiple such inputs, where we have each raw material quality parameters and each equipment process parameters, which giving the IPQC results and the final API results specification. Once we have enough data in the system, subsequent batches with the input material and every stage process parameter would be able to give a predictability to either course correct the process parameters or predict the kind of a in-process quality, which would help the operators to adjust the parameters without waiting for the samples to be drawn and taken for the analysis. So this is a big area where work in industries are happening, and probably the API industries, though it is good for chemical and other industries, but since being focused on the pharma, so there is a potential. There is a work going on across industries. There are certain IT companies who are also working on this, and this would change the landscape of the API manufacturing in terms of the holding time, the capacity. See, if we really see, then API manufacturing capacities are lost because of the hold time while the QC's IPQC results are waiting, and to move the process from stage 1 to stage 2, all that can be eliminated, and that can yield a lot of capacity advantages and also consistency advantages. So this is one such case which I would like to refer to.
Yeah, I think Mr. Yogesh, you have said very well. In technical language, we call it real-time release in our formulation plants,
Yeah.
where all the parameters are that is called PAT technology, process analytical tool technology, which can be implemented, and we can have real-time release for our intermediate as well as our finished products.
Right.
Great. And this can now come back to the API industry also.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think what I feel is that this real time is needed end to end, from gate entry to gate out.
Yeah, of course. So I'll tell you something about this. See, what we are doing is through a mobile application. See, most of the time the supply chain visibility, logistics partner, warehouse, and quality. So what we are doing is, once a purchase order is issued to a supplier, then there is a scheduling of it. Now that entire scheduling through a mobile application where the people are connected through a mobile app, which includes the planner, the procurement team, the warehouse team, the quality team, the suppliers, and the logistics partner. This is a very, very simple tool. See, in traditional framework, what happens when somebody is given a schedule, a planner would write an email giving all the details to him, and then will wait for his confirmation, would call him when the material is being dispatched, and then keeping a track, then he will continue to follow. What we have devised this system is a so intelligent and a very crisp. So all these schedules are just updated on the mobile app, linked to the, I'm not getting into too much details, linked to the partner and with the coding and all that. So every time when a new schedule is updated, the supplier gets a notification that you have a new schedule. He has just to open that app and only say yes, no. whether he accepts that schedule or whether he does not accept the schedule, and if he has any changes to propose. So yes, no, that's all that he has to do, or maybe propose a change. If he does not do any of such yes, no, and propose with the defined timelines, 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, product, supplier, and all that, the backend planner gets a pop-up that the vendor has not acknowledged the schedule. So he can then just quickly give him the reminder. If he says yes, then that means that gets acknowledged, that is, and automatic from the system only built in the lead time and the manufacturing cycle time and certain parameters, the supplier would continue to get a notification prior to 10 days of dispatch. I'm just using that as a reference, that are you on track? He has to just say yes or no response. Again, the planner gets to know. So his contact reduces, because if somebody has said yes or no, then he knows what is happening, and only in cases where there is no response. And similarly, this portal is also linked to the logistics partner. So they also know what material to be picked up from which partner at what date, and what are the quantities. So he can align his resources accordingly. Whenever these gets dispatched, the supplier has only just to put yes and maybe just an invoice number in case for reference. So the warehouse and quality team gets an update that this material has already been dispatched. Based on the normal logistics lead time, the get pop up that by this day the material would arrive. The warehouse team can plan for its space allocation, and QC team can knows that what all is coming in subsequent days, so they are pre-informed. And this all information is like, which is a people free. The system automatically is keep on updating and kind of communicating from one node to other. So this is another typical case where automation has helped save a lot of time in the kind of efforts, and the single source of truth. The information is only from one source. Yeah.
I think just to add to that, so there is another area where this technology can help us is, uh, to reduce the distance between marketing team and the production team, because the demand supply is being managed by the marketing team, whereas the supply will be taken care by the production team, and in between there is a planning team, production planning team. So what we see is, we have developed few systems in place where the data has been integrated between these three departments in a sequential flow, so that the marketing guy, before giving any commitment to the end customer, so he knows the production capacity and he knows the what is the production planning for next 2 months. So then accordingly he can do some commitments to the the sales guys or the customers for supply. So that's one area, some intelligence or analytics can work. And similarly, based on the demand, and we have certain predictive analytics what we have based on the last 1 year data patterns, like which customer is giving how many number of batches requirements, and also based on that the system also predicts some kind of production planning, so that our production guys can futuristically can plan few production systems, or designating the batches or the people. Accordingly we can line up the quality also for inline and in time production releases. So this integrating the analytics with various databases is also one of the great thing to have in the organization.
Obviously, I think that is the next advantages that industry is going to gain out of this automation.
Right.
Absolutely, and I think if I, in the interest of time, just very quickly, since we are kind of having a lot of technologies, tool, and enablement, and there's not everybody has its own, or every tool has its own relevance. So if I may quickly go to say Mr. Ashok, let me start very quickly, but please keep it very, very crisp, very, very brief. No long statements or sentences or stories needed, but very crisp. what do you think? Which technology? So we have predictive analytics, we have data mining, we have AI, machine learning, we have blockchains. Which do you think for your organization, or what has benefited you the most, where you have found the maximum ROI? Because there's a cost, as rightly pointed out earlier, there's a cost. So the finance team has a limited budget for supply chain. So what do you think has helped in your organization, and which of the business case the most?
Yeah, Gaurav, I think this is very interesting and relevant question. See, we can have technology or data churning, whatever, like we can say big data, blockchain, advanced statistics, quantum, anything we can say, but ultimately what is going to work is AI, because AI is the thing which is giving you the results. Rest all whatever data churning or data analysis, whatever we are doing, that will not help us unless we get the AI. And AI only work when you have get when you got the data. So both these goes hands in hand. So means I will say the most important thing is we have a lot of data. Means we have got very good history in our pharma industry, and now we need to implement the AI system in our various operations, supply chain, drug discovery, so we can reduce the time as well as we can reduce the cost and make it cost effective.
Okay, okay, got it. Thank you. So, similarly, briefly, Mr. Jay Seelan, if you can very sharply, very crisply add uh, what, according to you, has given, in your perspective, in your landscape, the maximum ROI? Which technology?
Yeah, I think all technologies as having its own role. Like Mr. Ashok said, artificial intelligence is always helping along with digitalization. Now, everywhere we have made it digital, including the QA, QMS, QC, all data are digital today. And even if you take artificial intelligence role at smaller level, just to see out of thing, I'm telling, even in marketing, our medical reps are GPS connected. Wherever they are meeting customer, every call is been reported directly. The entire company is having the real data, which we never had in marketing earlier. So which is very difficult actually. We will not know whether medical rep goes to doctor or not today because of this digitalization, AI. All these things are helping tracking of real time data online, and it is going to help us to take right time effective decisions. So I'm voting for all this data. So thank you.
Gaurav, I just want to add further to Ashok and Jaiselan. Uh, Along with AI, there is one critical parameter what we greatly needed is learning aspects. So we call it as machine learning. So the intelligent works only when it is accommodated with machine learning, because especially in pharma industry, every product has different nature, every molecule has a different behavior, and every system works differently. And even if you see the batch failures or the some incidents, so not necessary that every batch root cause is same, or it's a dynamic in nature. So unless until the technology or the system learning by itself based on some behavioral pattern or the past data, if the system doesn't learn, I strongly believe the intelligence is going to become legacy, and eventually it is going to not going to help us. So the intelligence also should needs to be improved day by day by using some kind of ML technologies, machine learning technologies.
Okay, okay, fair, fair. Mr. Yogesh, if you are there online, if you can just add which, according to you, which technology in your perspective has given a very good ROI for your organization, and kind of quick implementation with quick results. I think everybody mentioned their viewpoints and their relevance. Any quick closing points from your side before we close in the interest of
Yeah. So, Gaurav, unfortunately, I and an individual do not fall back in this automation to ROI discussion at all within our industry. And I'm one that gets, and this is across my forum, we cannot have an ROI assessment on these automations. This is something which is the need of the hour, whether it is ROI dependent or no ROI. So until unless we as an industry, we as leaders do get this belief that there is no ROI parameter alone, which should be so. That's a first quick response. We should all come out of this. If this is a need of the hour, this is the need of future, and this cannot be having any ROI because what we are not able to predict what is going to happen in 5 years, 10 years down the line, then will be too late because ROI can be assessed only what we have today visibility. So that's a point. And in general, I'll not be able to point out only in any one of the technology because all of them have their own advantages, disadvantages. The biggest thing is the commitment of the people involved is more important than the technology in this case. If we believe that this will work for
true,
us, this would work. It is we who have to
true.
be kind of a take that ownership. Otherwise, the best of the technology also fails, not because of the technology is not good, because of the confidence and the willingness to implement is not there.
Yes, I agree with that in terms of the relevance holds or could be different for different organization. I completely agree with that. Uh, with that, I also had a point wherein there is a limitation of each organization basis their size of the organization basis their revenue basis their the kind of complexity it is in. They will have a limitation in terms of being able to invest at all one go. They might not look at say AI as well as machine learning as well as blockchain as well as predictive analytics or data mining. I think that's where we were kind of in terms of the relevance for each one will differ. And I think a very relevant point made Mr. Yogesh. It's also about the learning and the kind of involvement, or I would say inclusion from all the stakeholders and at all levels. It is also very important, right from your last person who would actually be working on ground on that technology and implementing and using that technology. That inclusion from top to bottom is very important for the success of that technology. And with that, I would like to take a few questions because I understand panel there are questions for the panel members. So Garima, do you want to take one by one, and maybe we can any of the co-panelists can take it basis their kind of
Sure.
comfort and understanding.
Absolutely. So we have two questions here from the delegates that are witnessing this summit. So the first is, what can be done for the integration of intelligent automation in pharmaceuticals to make it reach its full potential? So I'd open it to, any of the panelists who would like to take this.
So I think my answer for this question is, the effective change management in the organization. So if we
Okay.
can win that area, obviously we can integrate any kind of automation, as even Yogesh was mentioning. So obviously, our systems and our people and our processes, that's unless until we don't modernize ourselves, means even the procedures, the complex procedures, you know, could be one area of automation failure. So process simplification is, so in my language I call it as a process modernization. So people, process and systems, if we don't modernize, obviously we can't take up the automation in our organization.
Right, sir. Thank you. Any of the panelists would like to add to this? Mr. Lavania, anything from you?
No, that's absolutely. So the answer to the person who has asked this question, there is no start, there is no end. There is always a beginning to this integration process. But as the time goes by, the new technologies would come in, new technology integration. It's a very, very continuous process. There is no such maturity thing into this. Each organization, as Gaurav was mentioning, based on its size, nature, capability, would adopt technologies, and there is no right or wrong parameter that who is mature, who is not mature. So therefore it's a very, very subjective statements. But yes, the best part is, fortunately, as a few panelists mentioned, this is, I always call it benefits of the COVID. Sorry to use that word, though, with sympathy and the people who might have suffered during the COVID. But I always have believed that COVID has benefited India on much, much. The losses of the people and the pain that people have passed through is much lesser than the revolution that India as an industry and the future of India would be in all the aspects. So probably the COVID experience has enabled a very faster penetration of these technologies, which otherwise would have taken many, many years to be accepted and adopted by the industry. So we are on a right path, and industries are doing their best to
Right,
do
right.
it. No right or wrong.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, sir. Very, very well put, sir. I think for the next question, I'd like to ask Mr. Gupta and Mr. Jayasilan to share their views on how shortage of AI skills is seen as a major barrier to the pace of technologies adoption. So your view on this.
Yeah, see, actually, I already told like it was one of the challenge for the pharma industry. We are thinking that we are conservative, but we are forced and we are now following all this technology. See, we have to value IT, Internet of Things, all this automatic technology is part and parcel of pharma industry. We cannot think that is something external industry. It is part and parcel because they are going to be right from R&D till product is dispensed, as we all panelists discussed. Everywhere it can improve our effectiveness. So this AI skill, uh, see, it is like the cell phones or this virtual platform, how we are talking. 3 years before, we did not have this kind of, say, fluency in all tools what we are currently using. Like
Right,
someone
right.
said, it's only a beginning. There is no end. So artificial intelligence is part and parcel of making next generation pharma industry. A smart factory is the order of the day. So we need to be forcefully engaged in this. Thank you.
Right, sir. Right. Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Gupta, your thoughts, please.
Yeah, on the similar line, basically, it's not only AI skills which is the main barrier, but we have got some challenges in pharma industry, being in pharma, like the regulatory acceptance, support from the our local regulatory as well as international regulatory bodies. First, they need to accept whatever automation we are doing, what type of validation we are doing, because they also ask a lot of data on the reliability and data integrity. So that is also an important barrier what pharma as a pharma company we face. Apart from whatever we have discussed, like understanding of people, change resistance to change, then initial cost, that is also very important. See what Mr. Yogesh has said, that ROI we cannot talk because it is a long term thing. Immediate initial cost is always high whenever we go for any automation, and ROI means we cannot calculate as on today, and we don't know what is going to happen in future.
Right.
But definitely, we need to be future ready as a pharma industry for the sustainable growth of the company as well as the whole pharma sector.
Right, sir. Thank you. I think I'll have just one final comment from our moderator, Mr. Bhatia, and then we can wrap up this session. Mr. Bhatia, over to you.
So I think
But
thanks a
but yeah,
lot.
one second. I'm sorry. So just to add to this, and I'm happy that nowadays even a lot of universities have come up with various courses in these areas. So I am hoping that we will have sufficient skill availability in the country.
Right, right. Absolutely, sir. Thank you. Mr. Bhatia.
Thanks again, Garima, and first of all, thanks again to all the audience and Elets for having this panel, and I think very on a very relevant topic. I think which is very poignant at this point of time across the supply chain and across the industry, if I may say, because we are all going through a kind of post-COVID change where we all want to be agile, resilient, and have the right end-to-end visibility, which also came out from the entire panel discussion. So, the need of the hour, yes, technology only can be kind of driving it and will enhance the pace of it. But at the same time, we will also have to have, as we also mentioned, the right talent to drive this, because if you have the technology alone but not the right talent and especially the right intent, if I can say, from top to down, I think it will not be a great success. So for a success formula or a recipe, it has to be the right technology with right talent with right intent, is very important. And I personally see it very optimistically as opportunities, not as challenges. So I think these are opportunities that lie ahead of us for all of us. I think so. Yeah.
Right,
With that
right.
optimistic note, I would like to end here. Thank you.
Thank you to all my esteemed panelists and speakers, for their insightful, transformative, and I would say very revolutionary thoughts, which lead us into believing that there is a bright future ahead for the pharma sector. We would like to inform us esteemed speakers and delegates about two of our upcoming in-person events scheduled for the month of June. We will be organizing the 10th Healthcare Innovation Summit on 22nd and 23rd June at Eros Hotel, New Delhi. We will also be having a parallel event, which is the third Radiology and Imaging Summit, also on the 22nd and the 23rd of June at Eros Hotel, New Delhi. And we would like to extend an invitation to all our gathering here to join us in Delhi for these events. And as a small token of appreciation, please accept these virtual certificates from our end. We'd like to present the certificate to Mr. Srinivasa Reddy. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much for being here this evening as a part of the Pharma Leadership Summit. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Mr. Gaurav Bhatia, thank you so much for donning the role of the moderator and steering this discussion beautifully. Thank you so much, sir. Mr. Yogesh Lavania, thank you so much, sir. It was a pleasure listening to you, and thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Ashok Gupta, thank you, sir. It was a pleasure having you with us at the 4th Elets Pharma Leadership Summit. Thank you, sir. Mr. J. Jayasilan, thank you so much again, sir. It was wonderful to listen to you in the morning and again, for being a part of this discussion. And I would like to extend a warm thanks to all my panelists here. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Take care.